Hello, everyone. It's Christine Conti. And when we think of teaching and coaching to special populations, I thought, what better than to bring in the experts? And this is a very special treat that you have to hear from two amazing human beings, some of my most favorite human beings in the world for how wonderful and loving and inspirational they are. I want to welcome Chris and Nikic, and we are going to just be just wowed by some of what they're up to in this world because Chris and Nick happen to be the founders of the Chris Nikic 1% Better Foundation. And Chris, I'm going to ask you in a moment to say who you are, but I just want to fill everyone in that you are the first man with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman, right? To conquer and complete the Ironman World Championships in Kona, to run all 5 major marathons, to win multiple ESPY awards. And that's just a few things that you have accomplished. And also, we are joined with such another amazing human being, which is Nick, who happens to be Chris's father, the man who likes to hide behind the scenes sometimes, but sometimes the man behind the scenes is really important. The father, the role model, the empowering person, supportive, loving, and believing that anything is possible without wavering. And I want to start by asking Chris, who are you?
You know who I am. The crazy
Tell
person.
the world, who are you? Are you an athlete? Are you, I mean, what do you think of when you think of who am I? Who is Chris Nikic?
You know, it's called both. Freaking a DC athlete, multiple marathoners, freaking Ironman for P6. Chipotle VIP.
Chipotle VIP. Yes, that's very important.
And not only that, I'm going to be part of your crazy presentation with drumsticks.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, Chris, let me ask you this. Did you ever think that you would complete the Ironman World Championships when you were younger?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
You did?
Be honest.
I am honest.
Come on. When you were younger, before you even knew what an Ironman was.
Oh.
No.
Actually, when I was younger, I thought you would be the perfect guy.
I would be a good guy. I appreciate that.
Oh, no.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Did you always know how to swim?
Kind of, sort of.
Did you always know how to ride a bike?
Kind of, sort of.
Were you always a good runner?
Just a good head.
Well, give her honest answers.
Okay,
She wants honest answers.
Okay.
Don't try to impress her. You couldn't do anything when you started, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, tell the truth.
Fine.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm curious for everyone because you started not really knowing how to do any of this. And then now you pretty much answer questions and say that you could do anything. And that I think is like, how did that happen? How did you start believing that you could do anything, Chris?
That was my idea, not his.
Okay, how did you do it then?
Yeah.
Tell her.
Because I'm young. crazy. And behind the scenes, he's an old man. So basically, I do the workouts, and then he works all day. I
So
have fun all day, and he works all day.
I think there's more to this, Chris. I think you're holding back a little bit.
Good for
And
you.
I want to get back to you in a second, Chris, because this whole not being really great at things, and then all of a sudden you have this like, I can do anything, and you're inspiring the world. And I had the honor of racing with you at Ironman half in Maryland, and I got to experience how much you inspire other people, where people will just stop and say, you are so inspirational and you've helped me believe in myself. And I want to ask Nick, can I ask you real fast a question? And it's, what is 1% better? And why did you start this?
Great question. So I'll start with why I started it. I started it because Chris was 18, sitting at home, looking at a future of isolation and dependency on either me and my wife or the system. Didn't really have a future. And so we started simply by saying, let's get off the couch and go exercise, because then at least maybe you'll be a little healthier and maybe you'll make some friends. And then who knows what will happen after that. That was the beginning. But for 18 years, the community, and the community meaning the doctors, the therapists, the teachers, you know, everybody told us, and the thinking in the community is that our kids with Down syndrome are fragile and we should be very careful with them. And we, you know, people even discourage exercise, believe it or not, and not always directly, but through passive kind of resistance. And so people make all kinds of negative comments about, well, don't do that, it's risky. And so there were two parts to this 1% better. One is, it's a system I use in the business world to help transform sales organizations by doing it slowly, because people resist change and you need to help them make change slowly and make it part of the culture. And so it's a pretty accepted standard in the business world. You know, some people call it Kaizen and some people call it continuous improvement. It's the idea of slow, steady progress, and you make progress and improvement and achievement part of the culture. But in Chris's case, it was additionally a safety net because of all the concerns about the physical, the mental, the things that we didn't know about, right? The unknowns. I thought, why not just help him improve 1% at a time and keep an eye on him and make sure that he's not progressing in a way that could hurt him, but he's progressing in a slow, linear fashion so that we could track his progress over time and be able to kind of slow down or pull the plug if we had to, if there was any kind of risk to it. And so we approached his entire training system as stacking days of success, one day on top of another, 1% at a time, with the idea that if you stack 1%, it starts to compound over time. And in Chris's case, it's exactly what happened. He started out by barely doing a push-up when he started, couldn't ride a bike, barely being able to do half a lap in a pool. And we just started stacking 1% on top of that. And before you know it, a lap turned into 2, a push-up turned into 2, 2 turned into 3 and 4. And over a 3-year period, a push-up, a half a lap, 100-yard run, and a barely, 200-yard bike turned into an Ironman. And that's in a nutshell what the 1% better system is.
I think,
Oh, now you want to talk?
yeah.
Okay, now you're gonna get serious?
So,
Stand up
he's they're right.
a little bit right. Okay.
Our condition is like I knew I couldn't do barely a single thing but from my own understanding of craziness and how we're crazy, I think I found out why is because I started the 1% Better as a way to bring in crazy people
Mm.
to actually the reason is to raise awareness.
Yep.
And then I think we all need to be included.
Yeah. Why don't you let her ask the next question? So awareness and inclusion was really important. Absolutely. Let her ask the next question.
So Chris, this is for you. There's a lot of people, a lot of coaches, a lot of fitness professionals out there, and they are afraid or uncomfortable to work with someone like you, who to me, you're a big ball of love to me. But for some, like your dad was saying, people are afraid of, physical is something, are you capable of doing push-ups and running and this and that? What, Chris, would you say to someone that is maybe afraid to coach you? What would you say to them?
I would say instead of going to what's called professionals and the coaches, I would rather just put them in a nutshell and put a bubble around them
Sweetheart,
and say,
stop.
we're going to do this my way.
Hey, you hear me? Stop.
We clear up percent better.
You hear me?
What?
Serious. She's asking serious questions. I want you to give her serious answers. Okay, you just woke up and you're thinking a little slowly, so give her some serious answers, okay?
This might be
No,
fun.
I know. You're not like me. She wants
That you're
your,
protecting me.
I know, but she wants your answers,
Yeah,
not mine, and I'll
I
give
want to
her.
know from you, Chris.
Let's know from you. So what she said was, if other coaches are dealing with other kids like you with Down syndrome, and they're afraid to coach them, what would you tell the coach about the other kids like you?
I would say keep pushing them.
There you go. That's what she wants to hear. Keep pushing them. Why?
1% better.
And then what happens when they get 1% better?
That's right.
That's right. They hit their dreams. And what happens to their health?
Strong.
They get strong. And is that a good thing? That's what she wants to know.
Huh?
Are you strong?
Yeah.
Can you do how many pull-ups can you do? Like when you do one workout, how many do you do?
75.
75 to 100, sometimes 120. Do you know how many people in the world can do 75 to 120 pull-ups?
She can.
Ask her.
I mean, I don't know that percentage off the top of my head, but I do know it is very small, very
Yeah.
small.
400 push-ups. This is after running 10 miles on a treadmill, right? So that's what she wants to know. Is there anything to be afraid of to push you? No. Do you like it when I push you?
No.
No. Do you like it when you're done?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
You know why?
Yeah. What happens to...
Get ice cream.
Yeah, we'll go get ice cream. What
You
else?
get ice cream. Okay.
Or chocolate cake.
Chocolate chocolate cake. See, you get to eat anything you want because you train hard and you have fun and you're healthy. That's what she wants to know. And the other coaches want to know, is it okay to push you
Yeah.
hard?
I think so.
But we would also recommend what? 1%?
Yeah.
Why? Why do we recommend 1%?
The more they work,
Yeah,
the more they eat more.
eat more wet. And it's safe and it's progress. And the most important thing about the 1%, Christine, is it's a mindset. Chris started this journey 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. People are still wondering, how does he keep going so hard after 6.5 years when most people kind of burn out? Well, he's just getting started. 1% is designed to build mental toughness and a lifestyle and a way of viewing the world a little differently, not as a training for an event, but as a lifestyle for life, for living a full, rich, healthy, inclusive, very successful life. And that's really what the 1% is all about.
And I appreciate that you are sharing this with the world, because this is something, and I know we're talking to a lot of fitness professionals and coaches and people that really work in, personal trainers, fitness professionals, and again, physical therapists. We're talking to medical professionals as well that want to know what they can do. And I think what I'm hearing from both of you is that don't be afraid to work with different populations, and that don't be afraid to push. And this is a population that, number one, using fitness, we talk a lot about using exercise and making that a mindset in other parts of your life. And that is one thing that I want to ask both of you, is that, it's one thing to train for an Ironman or train for a marathon, but let's be honest, that may not be something that you do forever. How have these skills of training, how have you seen them in other parts of whether your life, Chris, or Nick, how have you seen that in other parts of his life?
Well, let me tell you the thing I've seen. It's the most important part is, Chris has a mindset now, one where exercise is just part of his life. But here's how that translates to the rest of his life. Our kids with special needs tend to spend their life in isolation, excluded from the community. Chris doesn't have that problem anymore. His friends are always looking to get together with him, and his friends span the spectrum. People with Down syndrome, people with autism, your typical tri-club community, the run community, the swim community, the business community. It doesn't matter. Chris fits in everywhere now. And it happened through exercise, because exercise gives you confidence. Exercise kind of makes you like the rest of the gang. Exercise gives you a certain perspective on life, and you walk into a room feeling a little bit differently. Your level of optimism changes because you can do anything. When you succeed every day by getting 1% better for a year or 2 or 3, no one can tell you anymore that you're not successful, right? People will look and judge Chris, and often we see this when we travel in airports where someone will meet him and they're like, oh, he's kind of cute, and they start talking to him, and I just watch the conversation, right? Because they think, oh, there's a cute kid with Down syndrome, and then they start asking him questions, and Chris is very confident, and then they say, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to do a speech for Walmart. Really? Why? What kind of speech? On getting 1% better. He says, how come you're speaking? He says, well, because I'm a world record holder and a 2-time ESPY winner and an author. And they're like, what? And so it's a different ballgame. All that came from exercise. Now, is everybody going to get there the same way? No. But everybody can get healthy. Everybody can get socially active. Everybody can gain confidence. Everybody can become part of the community. Everybody can get employed. And that's really, when you talk about what comes out of exercise, it's all of those things that come out of it. And Chris is just a very different person because of it. Right now, he's kind of waking up because he had a long workout and he took a nap. And so his speech is a little bit slower. But boy, when he gets rolling, he's hilarious.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it? What I would love to just kind of end with today is number one, Nick, I'm going to ask you first, and then Chris, I'm going to follow up with you in a second. So Nick, where is 1% going? Where do you see this?
Sure. So we're trying to solve a problem, right? The problem is there are hundreds of millions of kids and young men and women with Down syndrome and autism and all kinds of physical and intellectual disabilities living a life of isolation. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is each of these kids has one or two parents who are living in desperation, trying to take care of these kids. Their life revolves around taking care of these kids and then young adults. And then it leads to where these parents spend their entire life worrying about what's going to happen to their kids when they're gone. That's the problem we're trying to solve. It's a big problem, because the problem is a belief system. Everybody believes that this to be true, when it's not really true. It's true because we make it so. We make it so by enabling them. So what we're trying to do, where we're going, is Chris became the first role model of what's possible. But that's just one, and people believe a little bit when they see one. Then this year, there were 6 more athletes from Special Olympics who completed an Ironman. Now the belief system is building. Now we're going to go for 20 or 25 more this coming year. Why? Because the more there are, and the more diverse they are, and the more individual they are, the more people will believe. Because remember, we're trying to change the belief system. And then we're going to build an academy in Orlando. So that should be ready in a couple of years. And the academy is going to be a place where we're going to bring 100 young men and women at a time with intellectual disabilities. And we're going to teach them to become independent, successful, socially active, confident, part of the community. And then we're going to replicate that academy all over the world, where our vision is to have 1,000 of them, graduating a couple of hundred people per year, graduating a couple of 100,000 young men and women with intellectual disabilities, and getting them fully included in the world. That's what we want to do, and we do it one person at a time. Chris was the first role model. Now we're looking for the next 20, next 30, next 100, until we get the whole world to believe what we already know, which is that our kids can do the impossible.
Nick, tell everyone the website.
You go to chrisnikic.com, you can stay in touch with us, learn more about us, learn about the foundation, and we're going to be sharing a lot more about the program that we're building, the academy that we're going to build. And our vision is to make it so simple, so replicatable, that anybody in any town can say, hey, I want to open up a small academy because I want to reach the 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 young men and women in our community, and I want to make it easy for them to participate. So we're going to be sharing a lot more information. Most importantly, this is a big vision to solve a big problem, and we need a lot of help. We need a lot of amazing men and women out there who can share and help. They can volunteer, they can donate, they can introduce us to people, they can share the message with other people. There are so many ways we can impact the world and make a change, that every little bit that anybody does is going to make a huge difference in changing the world's perception about what our kids can and can't do.
So I just want to stop for a moment and talk to everyone right now that is listening to this, that has connections, that has been touched by this story, or people that are in their lives right now. If you are someone that is, maybe you are a fitness professional and you want to hear more and you want to know how to start something in your area, please make sure, reach out. Nick and Chris are amazing. And Chris, I want to end with this. Chris, what do you have planned in your future? You've done all these races, you have won ESPYs. What next? What do you want? What do you want to accomplish next?
I want to accomplish go to the countryside.
Go to the countryside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where my dad came from.
Where your dad came from?
Yeah.
You want to go back to Montenegro?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
They get a smoking hot lady.
Oh, smoking
And
hot.
there it is. And there you go. It goes back to food and women.
You
Chris,
will. God is going to find the right lady for you. Don't you worry. God has a plan.
It. Did everybody hear? Okay, so as long as everyone listening as well, you heard it right from his mouth.
Smoking hot blonde from Montenegro, Minnesota. It doesn't matter, whatever God has planned, right, buddy?
And second,
okay.
we're having a huge wedding.
Huge wedding. Everybody's welcome.
Okay. All right.
It'll be about bridesmaid.
Oh.
I will happily be a bridesmaid. Happily. What about racing? Any races that you have that you're thinking about?
Back to Tokyo in March.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
Okay.
then you're gonna do Kona again next year.
Yeah.
And then a couple of half Ironmans, a couple of marathons, a little bit of boxing. right? A little bodybuilding next year. So we're working on show the muscles. We're working on bodybuilding now.
We need to see the shirt too. Can we see the logo on your shirt? Oh, here we go. The gun show's coming out. Here we go.
All right, we're doing some
Let's see, Chris. There's the shirt. There's the 1% better.
Well,
I love it. All right, and let's see.
There you go. Now turn around and show them your muscles. Ready?
Okay.
There you go. He's building towards a big.
There it is. There it is.
On 1% better.
I love it. Well, Chris and Nick, thank you so much for joining us today and being an expert on everything about coaching and how important it is to not be afraid to take on people that, you know, Chris is an amazing human being. Nick, thank you for the endless support and just putting yourself out there in that belief system, because that is the purpose.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, please do.
This is an amazing example of someone who, on the surface, has what we would judge as very limited potential. But by getting 1% better consistently over several years, that potential is realized. And even though we judge it as limited, Chris is showing us that what we perceive as limited is pretty extraordinary, because God has some amazing things in store for all of us. And he gives us all some amazing gifts. And the potential that's in us is so much greater than anything we believe. And I think that's what Chris is. Chris is just a walking example of our misinterpretation and misunderstanding of what potential we really have. And so if hopefully everybody who's listening and people that your coaches are coaching, is if they could see the potential in every one of those children and one of those young men and women, it is so much greater and so much bigger than anything we can imagine. And I think that's Chris's role, is to continue reminding the world that their view of potential is really pretty limited compared to God's view of potential.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nick. And for everyone, once again, it's www.chrisnikic.com. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. I hope that all of you are inspired to think outside your norm and to start helping us change that belief system. So with that said, it's Christine Conti, and have a wonderful day.